Hello everyone, my name is Shumaila. I'm a software, cloud, cybersecurity, and business continuity engineer. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how we can acquire infrastructure as a service, IaaS, from any cloud provider and then transform it into a platform as a service where we can deploy our apps or websites or anything, any code or any databases. So let's get started. Right, so to get started, open your cloud infrastructure, and here on the main page you can see that I already have a few instances running, and here you can notice that these instances are deployed in this region in Netherlands. And now I have another region as well. It's because I like to keep my machines on in different regions in case if there is an outage in one region, we can always use the instances from the other region. And I also like to keep backups on different machines for disaster recovery and business continuity purposes. So here you can see all the resources that I'm currently using. You will see the subnet, VCN, and a lot more things that I currently use. Now to create a new VM or a new instance, go to your home page, select the region where you would like to create an instance. I would like to create it in a different region, so I select my region and I go here, and here in the build section you can see a lot of things that you can build and do. For instance, in compute you can create a new VM instance, create an autonomous transaction processing database or data warehouse, and can set up networking. And also for this video we go to compute and create a VM instance. Here you name your instance. I name it OCI4. You can name it anything. I already have a root compartment, so that's what I'm going to use. I already have the placement for this region, so I'm going to use the default one. When it comes to shapes, you can definitely go for the default ones, but I like to go for Ubuntu. It's because the kind of code that I'm going to use for this machine, the kind of application requires this operating system. So these are all operating systems that you can choose from. And then here you can choose the version of this image or this operating system. So I'm going to use Colonial Ubuntu 24.4 and select image. Now here this is the your machine's CPU or processor. In the processor you can surely go for AMD or Intel or anything, and for this particular machine I would like to choose Ampere. And here we set up the number of OCPUs and the amount of memory, the RAM that you would like to use for this machine. You can go for OCPUs up to 80, and for memory you can go up to 512 and all, but because I have only one CPU left and 6 GBs of RAM left on this plan, so I'm not gonna increase my cost and go for the same the balance that I have on my account. You can definitely increase it to as per your requirements. I select the shape, and here VNIC name, it's your virtual network interface. I name it OCI4 again, and this is the IPv4 or IPv6 addresses. You can definitely go for IPv4 or IPv6 as per your requirements. I go for IPv4 for this machine because I don't require IPv6 for this one. This is very important because you need the SSH keys to access your machine. Okay, so because we bought infrastructure as a service, and when we have infrastructure as a service, we don't have an interface or a platform from where we can interact with our machine. And we have to create this platform using command lines. And to access the machine through command line, we need to use these keys. So definitely save your keys. Save your private key. I save it OCI4. And I also save the public key. It's OCI4 again. In the boot volume, I would like to go for using transit encryption for security reasons. So I leave it as it is and click on create. It's creating my machine and it might take some time. Here you can see it's still provisioning the instance, and the things are still loading, so it can take some time. And oh, please ignore this honking because it's someone getting married outside. Okay, so here there is a custom that when people get married, they honk their cars to remind others that, hey, look, we're enjoying our life while you're busy being a cloud infrastructure engineer. Okay, so the machine is running now, and here you can see all the information about this machine, and you can also see the IP address of the machine and this username. This is the information that we need to access through command lines. So to access your machine through command lines, you can use PuTTY or anything, but I use Terminus because that's what is available in my laptop. So I go to Walls here. Remember the keys that we downloaded, so I need to bring them here. I create a new key, OCI4, and I first bring the public keys because I want to paste it here. Otherwise it doesn't allow me to import again. I import a file which is OCI PUB, that's your public key. So I copy from here and paste it here. Then I remove it to bring my private key. So it doesn't allow me to bring another key. What I do is I copy from here, remove it, I keep it somewhere else. This is definitely not a part of the thing, but it's just because my laptop doesn't allow me, so I have to. Okay, so OCI4, I click on edit. Sorry, I just remove it and create again. I will bring my private key now. It's this with .key, and I paste my public key here that I copied before. And now I can just leave it here, go to hosts and create a new host. Let me remove this to remove confusions. Okay, so new host, I name it, I need to bring my IP address, it's here, copy the IP address and bring here. Now label, I label it OCI4. scroll down, and here you see the username. It's the username that we can copy from here. Now when it comes to passwords, we click on keys and not enter a password. And the key is OCI4. Yeah, it's OCI4, and I say connect. Okay, so it's trying to connect to my machine, and I say add and continue. Voila, so we have connected to our machine through command line. And once you have accessed your machine through SSH, type sudo su, and then copy the commands from the cloud panel. The first one is to update the machine. Once it's done, we need to install the cloud panel on the machine. Okay, so it's been upgraded, and now is the time to install the cloud panel. We paste this and press enter. It will take some time. We also need to set up the DNS on the domain. So my domains are typically with GoDaddy and Namecheap. So here I actually already added the IP, but in case if you need to add the records, what you need to do is go to your domains and then choose your domain. And go to Advanced DNS. And in DNS, you need to add records. Add a new record. Sometimes this button is not visible. You just can't add a new record. That's the reason. The reason is that because your domain is pointing to name servers that are not pointing directly to GoDaddy, and they're pointing outside. So the first thing you have to do is to change the name servers to make them point to your domain host. So my domain host, for example, is GoDaddy, so it should point to it, and then this becomes visible. You come here and you add some DNS records, for example, from my machine. It's OCI4, so I need to copy the public IP address and go to your DNS and add a record. You add a record like a record to point your domain to your machine. So this is how you add a record. You click on save, and in case you want to make this machine as an email server, you need to also create an MX record. I already created it, but in case if it's not created, that's how you create. So you just click on a new record and then you fill in these details. For example, I want to also create a mail server, and I want to point it to this subdomain to open my emails. I will later in the next video also show you how you can make your machine as a mail server to send and receive emails. This is for that purpose. So I already have added. In case if it's not added, this is how you can add it. You just click here and you select MX and you point it to your machine. Okay, let's check what's happening. Yeah, it's still working. It's still installing the cloud panel. So what we are actually doing here is that we are installing a cloud panel to transform our infrastructure as a service to a platform as a service. After installing this panel, we don't have to use the command lines anymore. We can interact with our instance or VM through the panel or a user-friendly interface, because otherwise if we don't install these kind of panels, we'll always have to use the command lines to interact with the machine, which is not the easiest thing to do. So to make this platform work properly and to make other things also work properly, we have to open a few ports on our instance or on the machine. So this is the machine, Oracle OCI 4. Oops. OCI 4. And here you click on Virtual Cloud Network. And subnet. And then default security list for VCN. Now here you will notice that a few ports are already open, but I need to open a lot more ports for encryption, decryption, and to access the cloud panel, to access emails in case if we are also using this for as an email server, for example, and for other things. So I will open a number of other ports, and I can take this information from my other machine because I already opened all of these ports on my other machine, which is in Netherlands, and it's OCI 3, and this one is in Canada, which is OCI 4. So I need to open port 8443, 8443, and also let's open them one by one. To open the ports, click on Add, type 0.0.050 TCP, here 80, and it's for HTTP. Add. Now I need to open the other ports as well, so type again the same 0.0, and here port 443. I think this is for HTTPS. Let's check what it is this for. Yeah, this is for HTTPS. So here I see HTTPS, and add ingress rule. These are now open. I need to open number for the ports as well. So this is 8443. Let me see what's the description. It's for cloud panel. So I need to open 8443. And this is for cloud panel. Oops. I also need to open port 20. This is for FTP. It's not required to mention what it is for, because the system knows what it is for, but it's just for myself to remember, because I keep forgetting things. So this is for myself to remember for what it is. So I open port 20. If it doesn't come to you as an option, you can just type here 20, and then add ingress rule. We also need to open port 21. Let me see what it is for. It's for FTP again. I go back and I open another one. The FTP 21. Okay. And port 49152 and 65534. These are two ports, not only one, so I added them together because they are also for FTP. I go here and I say both the ports, and the rest of the things remain the same, and here I also say FTP and add ingress rule again. And now I will open port 25, which is used for emails. You don't have to add this if you're not using this machine for emails, but for me, I will use a few applications that use the email service, so that's a reason I have to open this port. Sorry, it's port 25 and it's for emails. Add ingress rule. So all of these ports are open now. Let's go back and check what's happening here. Alright, so the Cloud Panel has already been installed. The installation of Cloud Panel is complete, and we can access it from this link. Now, this is the IP address of the machine, and this is the port that we just opened. Now, if I go here, if I try to open my Cloud Panel, it does not open. But don't worry, it's because I did not restart my machine. I need to reboot my machine after installing any panel. So I need to go to my instances, compute instances, or just directly go to your home page. And here it's running, but I need to reboot it so that the panel could work. So reboot instance. It might take some time, so we have to be patient with it. It's still working, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so it's running now. I just rebooted my machine, and if I go here now and I refresh the page, it should work. Yeah, so the panel is working now. Don't worry about this because I still need to install the security and everything, so that's the reason it's showing you this. I need to install the SSL, and here I click on show details, advanced, and proceed. When I click on proceed, it opens the panel here, the platform to access our infrastructure. Here, fill in your name and your username, your email, and your password. You can please choose a stronger password. I also like to activate the two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication, MFA, to make it secure. Agree to the terms and create user. Right, I already have created a username on this machine, and I will just log into this. Okay, so we can access the cloud panel now. There is nothing at the moment. I need to install, deploy the applications here. And if we go to dashboard, we can see all the details about the machine and the usage information and everything, and the load average and other things. So that's it, and I will show you how to deploy your apps and your databases on this platform now. Alright, so the platform is ready now, and I'll show you how you can deploy your app on this platform that you just created. So we go to sites and click on add new site. Here you can see the kind of sites that you can deploy. It can be any code like PHP, Node.js or Python. To keep the things simple, I will deploy a simple app. Click on create a new site and domain name of your site, title, choose simply digital and cloud solutions. We can always change this later on. Site user, I would say you can of course keep select any site username and admin username. These are the names and the passwords that you need later on to access your platform or the site that you create. You can choose any password. I would say get started. Of course you shouldn't keep a password like this, but this is just for the demo purposes, and click on create. It will take some time before it can create a site, a place for you where you can deploy your code. In the meantime, what I'll do is I'll go to my domain and I will create advanced DNS to point to this server that we are using. So if you go, my domain is here, so if I go to domain and go to advanced DNS, you can notice here that I can't do anything. It's because if you go back to the main page of the domain, you will see that the domain is already pointing to custom DNS, and because my site was actually deployed on another custom server before, but now since I'm changing it, so I need to change from here to basic to point the site directly towards the domain provider, and I click on OK. And now if I go to advanced DNS, you can notice here that now I can add a new record. So what I need to do is just click on add a new record and point my domain to my server, and I need to copy the server IP address and paste it here. So TTL is the time to live. I choose the shortest time so that by the time I'm done with the code deployment, my DNS is already pointing to my new server. Alright, so it's now pointing to my server, but it might take some time for the DNS propagation, and by that time I go here and I start deploying my code. So I click on manage my site, and here you can see all the information about the site or about this app. So it's in cloud panel, they call it sites, but you can always call them apps or you know, whatever you like. And then you go to file manager and htdocs. It may be a different name for you, but for me it's htdocs. And then here you see the folder, and there are already some files because I created it as a new site. So there are already some files that I don't need. I select them all, Control A, and then I delete them because I don't need them. I need this folder to deploy my own code. So what I do is now I add a new file, which is the backup file from my previous server. I go to my backup is here, and I click open. Please note that because this is a small code file, so that's the reason I'm uploading from here. But if it's a large one, you need to go to FTP and upload your file there, because for larger files it may take a very long time, and directly from the platform it doesn't allow to upload very large files. So here you see that is still working and uploading the file. And okay, so it's done now. This is the backup file, and I right click and say extract. When it says extract, I name it any name and extract it. Now I need all of these files to be directly in the streetlight.eu folder and not in this folder. So what I'm gonna do is go to this folder, Control A, select everything, and drag everything to this folder where I want them. Now this folder where I actually extracted the files, I just can't delete it because I don't need it anymore. Alright, so the files are in the right place now. We go back and create the database. Okay, so first thing first, here is the database backup that I took from previous server. I can just download it from here and keep it on this machine to upload it easily. You don't have to do it for sure. You can always use FTP to upload your files and database, but because this is the smaller one, so this is the easiest way I can do. Okay, now I go to databases, and I don't need the existing one because the system created a database that's different. I need a different name and different database, so I add a new database and I name it this is my database from, this is just my code that I use. You can always name it any name, Steer24, and also a database password. So I again say get started. Copy from here so that I don't have to type again, and I add a database. Now the database has been added, but it's empty because we just created it. It has nothing, so I need to upload my database tables and files to my database. So I go to manage, and here click on the name of the database and click import. I choose the file that I want to import. Remember, I downloaded this from my backup, and I don't like the partial thing to be uploaded, so I just say no. And here I can click on import. yeah, it's working. Still uploading the database tables. It may take some time. Okay, so the import has been successfully finished. 718 queries executed, so it's already imported. Now I can close it and go back to this is the database that we just created and uploaded the tables to. And now we go to file manager again, because we need to connect this database to the code that we deployed. So here you go to config file and set up your database. This is the database name from my backup, but I don't need it anymore because it has all changed. Now it's tier 24, and this is the database name, and that was the database user, sorry. So this was also tier 24, and the password of the database that I just copied from there, I will paste it here, and click save. At this point, the deployment has been done. The database has already been connected to the code file, and it should work. So I open stewright.eu. Perfect. So it's working now. Alright, so that's how we can acquire infrastructure with any cloud provider and then install the operating system and use the scripting language or command lines to interact with the infrastructure and to create a platform where we can deploy the apps and databases. We can deploy any kind of code and any kind of databases. There is no limited, and we can also deploy any size of the database and code, because there is really no limit to it, and it's always scalable. In the next videos, I would also try to cover things like how we can make it secure, deploy the encryption and cybersecurity, business continuity and resilience protocols, and different things like that, and maybe also how to create a self-hosted email server on the cloud. But because nowadays we don't use it, we all use 365, but in case if we still require to create an email server to self-host the business emails, we can still do it on the cloud, which is still possible. So thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and in case if you have any queries or any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and I will look forward to hearing from you soon. Thank you. Bye bye.